We are already in the first week of June, and probably, clients are still struggling or still finding out ways to start their offices. The situation as it stands today, we expect that by another 15 days, the clients will start operating, have people in offices, etc., etc. I don't know what corner COVID is going to cut. I don't know whether there will be another lockdown. I don't know whether it will turn into a grave pandemic. I don't know all that. But the most important thing I know is that whatever situation is presented to me, I'm fighting for it. Friends, one such situation, important situation is that we are now going to start a phase where we have to close our books of accounts. The clients have to close their books of accounts for 1920, number one. Number two, we have to audit their books of accounts. For listed companies, there's almost time. For unlisted companies, we have time till September, October. What is most important? Either we are auditors, we are GST consultants, we are tax auditors, or we are working at client's place. Most important thing is that we take certain precautionary measures under GST so that we are saved from lot of loss in coming months or lot of penal provisions like interest penalty in coming months. So what I've done is I've laid down a certain checklist. This checklist will give a fair idea to all of you in terms of when you're closing the books of accounts or when you're auditing statutory audit or GST audit, that these are the things which must be done. If you can take care of these of the things, I'm sure, I'm telling you, 80% of the things under GST will be under your control. That is the most important part of it. It will be under your control. Today in my deliberation, I intend to take two things, time permitting, of course. One is obviously this GST checklist, and the other is the transitional credit. A retrospective amendment has been brought in by the government, which in regards to transitional credit, which is very, very interesting. So I'll try, time permitting, I'll take these both. Starting with the GST checklist, the first aspect that I want to discuss with you guys is cross charge and ISD. Now, what is cross charge and what is ISD? Let us understand the difference. Let us take an example. A client has a head office in Calcutta and it has various branch, sales, regional offices across India in almost all these states. Let's take an example. The HO appoints a Big Four as an auditor to conduct the audit of the company. So the company includes the HO and the branches. The auditor conducts, gives the statutory report and raises a bill of 15 lakhs plus GST. Now the bill is raised in the name of head office. What is head office supposed to do with that GST input tax which has been charged by the auditor? Head office will distribute that credit amongst all the branches on the basis of their turnover. This distribution mechanism is called input service distribution. Now this could include auditor's GST, telephone ka GST, all common GSTs which HO incurs on behalf of all the branches. So it distributes to all the branches. This is input service distribution. Now, what is cross charge? Now I'll just take a moment. Can you put it in your chat box that one, do you know what is cross charge? I just want to know how many people who are attending the session here knows about what is cross charge. Just write in the chat box. I'll just take a minute in terms of knowing whether do you know what is cross charge. Can you write in the chat box, please? How many of you do you know cross charge? Okay, I'm getting some personal messages. Some knows cross charge, some knows vaguely, some do not know cross charge. Okay. Yeah. So there are a lot of people who do not know cross charge. There are a lot of people who vaguely know. Also, I'll explain what is cross charge. You have understood what is input service distribution. I will try and explain what is cross charge. Cross charge, for example, head office. Head office has certain functions which caters to all the branches. What are those functions? For example, the CEO is sitting here at head office. The CFO is sitting here at head office. Entire finance function, entire accounts function is sitting here at head office. Entire HR function is sitting at head office. The marketing function is sitting at head office. All these functions are providing services to all the branches. How are they providing services? For example, if a branch requires a manpower, the requisition comes to HOHR. HOHR finds out a person and places it there. So the HO, which is based out of West Bengal, is giving services to, let's say, a sales office based out of Tamil Nadu. What is that services? It has actually hired a person for you sitting here in West Bengal. Now, this is an amazing thing. You might ask, it is the same company, same PAN number. How can a company give services to self? My friends, in GST, there is a concept of distinct person, whereby branches, head offices located in different states are treated as different persons in the eyes of GST. For that very reason, we have separate GST registration for regional offices based out of Tamil Nadu or based out of head office, Bengal, or based out of Bihar, Jharkhand, anywhere. We have separate GST registration. Therefore, under the eyes of GST, they are treated as separate person. Therefore, in my example, head office based out of West Bengal is giving services to Tamil Nadu. So this is cross charge. ISD was when you receive services on behalf of the branch and distribute the credit. Cross charge is when you yourself provide credit or services to the branches. So that is the basic difference between cross charge and ISD. Now, why cross charge is important? You can tell me today that, sir, if HO raises the invoice, Tamil Nadu will get credit, use it while paying GST on output sales. What is the big deal? There is no big deal in your example. Your question is correct. There is no big deal. But the deal will come when you don't raise a cross charge invoice. 2 years pass away. The department comes to audit your books of accounts, and West Bengal GST department tells you that you have given services to Tamil Nadu. You have not raised an invoice. Now you have to pay GST. In that case, the valuation will be determined by the department and Tamil Nadu will not get ISD credit. So you will lose in both ways. Valuation, whatever they decide based on valuation rules, that will be followed, and Tamil Nadu will not get the input tax credit. You lose at both ends. So the most important subject here is that you raise a cross-charge invoice at the end of every year for the services rendered during the year to all the branches. A basis has to be worked out. No basis has been provided in the law, but a base has to be worked out and GST has to be distributed. So long as the branches are eligible to take credit, we know the valuation rule says that whatever value you put in the invoice, that value is good enough for treating the transaction valuation. The problem comes when the branch does not get credit. In that case, you have to follow sound valuation principles of law. So raise an invoice, cross-charge invoice. Make sure that if they are eligible, the branch is eligible, they take credit and you are safeguarded. Now, there are three things. One, I request people who are working or employed at corporates to raise this invoice. Second, I would request GST consultants to talk to all the clients and raise a cross-charge invoice if they are working at this function. Statutory auditors, GST auditors need to point out this, that no cross-charge invoice has been raised, despite the fact that various invoices have been, various services have been provided like marketing function, etc., etc. Very important you do that. I will go one step ahead And give you another example which I practically fought. One brand, one single brand being used by multiple companies. No GST charged. Department came to audit. Huge valuation they did. They did valuation based on royalty on sales. The turnover of each companies was in excess of 100 crores. They charged 18% on a royalty which was calculated at 20%. So almost 3 crores liability every company was settled with. And the issue was raised 1.5 years later, where obviously the time period for availing credit was gone. So there was a huge liability which is under litigation. So I am imploring upon you guys at the end of this March 1920, you make sure that before September or before the statutory audit is completed, the cross-charge invoice is raised. This is one, checklist number one. At the same breath, what is ISD? I'll give you certain practical examples that we are facing, which you can also check with clients. One, ISD has not been distributed month on month. There is a understanding that once you have taken the credit, you can carry forward it for as long as possible. It is correct. But input service distributor is supposed to distribute credit to all the branches based on turnover every month. Even if you have missed out monthly, at least at the year end, ISD credit account should be zero, which means ISD has to take all the credit. They have to distribute all the credit, eligible or ineligible. The branches will take credit of eligible credit. Branches will not take credit of ineligible credit. But ISD account has to be zero. I think I would request everybody to mute themselves. Raise your hand if you have a question, and we can take it up maybe at the end of the session or middle of the session. Yes. So ISD 1, you should ensure that ISD account is zero. That is one. Second mistakes which we have found out is that ISD has distributed credit to all the branches, but by mistake, one credit which should go to branch X has gone to branch Y. What should have gone to branch Y have gone to branch Z. Second mistake that we have found is that there is one unit which is in SEZ. They have not distributed the credit at all to SEZ. One unit is located in exempted area. They have not distributed the credit to exempted area at all. These are the mistakes which we have found. Now, if you have distributed credit wrongly to different branches and you don't find it now, and the month of September or the month of filing annual return goes away, and department finds out your credit is gone. Your credit is gone. Very important that you check this. Second, all ISD distribution has to be done on the basis of proper tax invoice. Make sure that proper tax invoice is raised for all months of ISD distribution. You cannot just distribute credit like this. There has to be an invoice, ISD invoice. I am telling you, friends, 1 rupee is lost because of these things. We as chartered accountants, we as GST consultants, or we as auditors can add a lot of value here, because IST, input tax credit, is as good as cash, and we can save a lot of cash here. At least with my personal experience, I'm telling you, even big companies, turnover in excess of 1,000 crores, are missing out on this. So please ensure that these two things are followed. Third checklist, my third point, ITC reversals for the year. Whatever reversals you need to do, that you need to check, and reclaiming erroneously reversed credits. For example, I'll give an example. What has happened? In the month of June, last June 19, one of my clients reversed the credit because they did not pay to the vendor within 180 days. Subsequently, a settlement was done between them and the bill was paid. So when I'm closing the books on March, I see that that creditor account is now zero. The bill has been paid. However, the client has forgotten to reclaim the credit which it has reversed while not paying the vendor within 180 days. Very important that you write it down that all this 180 days credit has to be reclaimed if you have reversed. If you have not reversed and you have paid subsequently, then our role is to point out that interest is payable on the amount not reversed. So now, first of all, ITC has to be reversed for exempt supplies, non-GST or non-business supplies, and wrongly availed ineligible purchases. I'll give you an example. One laptop which the company bought was taken away by the promoter for his son's use. It was written off in books of accounts. It is actually a non-business, non-GST supply and credit has to be reversed. This is something which we have to do. Similarly, I found that lot of companies are availing credit on health insurance, medical insurance of employees. Car hire charges, they are availing. This is not eligible. So we as auditors have to now write it down that these are ineligible credits and you need to reverse it. Friends, the most important thing here is if you don't reverse it in time, interest is leviable at 24%. Sooner you do it, better it is because you save interest. If you forget it doing by this month, you do it by September, you end up paying interest for 1 quarter at 24%. Again, if you proceed further, the department comes and you do not reverse it, then from the date of reversal, you end up paying 24% interest. So that is very important. All GST credits which you had reversed, not taken, that has to be reclaimed. So that is another checklist you should write down. Third, moving ahead, we need to do a reconciliation between GSTR 1, GST 3B and books. So I'm talking about the turnover part of reconciliation. There could be a lot of errors. One, there could be error in books, but correct in GST return. There could be error in GST returns, but correct in books. There could be error in GSTR 3B, but correctly disclosed in GSTR 1. So all these corrections have to be done and recorded it in the books of accounts. Most important thing, friends, is this reconciliation. We must do it. You know why we must do it? I'll give you an example. Recently, there was an advance ruling which said that, even for the computation of turnover, for the purpose of registration, even loan given is part of turnover for the purpose of calculating whether you need to register or not. It is a separate matter that I do not agree with that advance ruling. But at your end, there has to be a proper reconciliation in terms of what turnover has gone in books, what turnover we are showing in 3B, and what turnover is there in GSTR 1. That is very, very important. If any error, now is the time to correct. You can make adjustment entries in books, or you can correct your GSTR 1, or if you have not paid tax, then you can pay 3B now, tax in 3B now. So very important, friends, that we do this reconciliation. Very important. Now, what are the normal, problems that I have seen, people facing? One, for example, export. If you have done the export valuation that has been put in returns is different from what is there in books. So there is shipping bill, there is a airway bill. The valuation there and the valuation in books is different. Why it is different? There could be freight, there could be shipping charges. In books, it is invoice value. So that reconciliation needs to be done. That is one. Second, the mistake that I found out is that, B2B supplies has been shown in B2C. and vice versa. That needs to be corrected. So that has to be corrected in GSTR 1. Third, there are certain supplies, for example, interest on delayed payment. At the month end, March 31st, there is an auto entry in SAP because of the ruling that, whatever customer is outstanding, let's say more than 90 days, I will charge interest at the rate of 12%. So SAP has passed all auto entries, interest on delayed payment. Now turnover in books is showing interest on delayed payments. In GST, we have not charged GST on interest on delayed payments. GST is payable on interest on delayed payments. My friends, it is very clear, and it is payable for sure. If you have not charged GST on interest on delayed payments, but there is a entry books, then you need to correct it. You need to raise an invoice on the customer with GST, and you need to file it in GST returns. It should not be done that you have raised an invoice, charged GST, but in the books you have not charged GST at all. Or there is an auto entry which you will reverse it in future, then you need to do it now. Make a provision in books now that you will reverse it. Otherwise, if it goes from one financial year to another financial year, as on 31st March, GST becomes payable and then you can take recredit. What goes away is the interest during that intervening period. So very important that you make note of these changes. Similarly, there could be other amendments. For example, we have missed out on the registration number, place of supply, charged IGST instead of CGST, SGST. All that correction needs to be done. Any important advances. For example, if you have taken any advances for services given, advances will not form a part of turnover in the books. But in GSTR 1, we have to show advances. So that reconciliation has to be done. Advances of services are still subject to GST. Advances on goods are not subject to GST anymore, but advances on services are still subject to GST. So that is something which is important. Another important thing is when there is a forward supply on which, GST is payable on reverse charge basis by the recipient. For example, transporter. I am a transporter. I am registered under GST, but there is one supply where GST is payable by the recipient. In that case, even in our GSTR 1, we must mark that GST is payable on reverse charge basis. That is important. So I am giving you few examples. There are so many things you will find once you go through the books, and these corrections has to be done now. Another reconciliation that I would propose is the reconciliation between GSTR 3B and GSTR 2A. Big, as I always say this, that input tax credit is nothing but cash for the company. I always say this. Input tax credit, I have come across so many situations of big companies, very big companies involved in retail, huge companies. What is happening is, one, you have taken credit, the vendor has not filed his invoice. There is a mismatch. Two, you have taken credit, vendor has also filed, but he's given the wrong value or the wrong invoice number. I'll give you an example. You have purchased good worth rupees 1,05,500. The vendor has filed the invoices 10,500. It has happened. Third, he has filed of the same amount, 1,05,500, but he's given the wrong invoice number. Your invoice number is 10, he has given 14. Another thing that has happened is, there is no entry in your books of accounts, but you are seeing that extra credit lying in the GSTR 2. This is also puzzling. There could be two situations here. One, you have missed out on credit. You have missed out on credit. So check your invoices. Second is, maybe the party has, instead of filing it for your name, they have filed it for another name, or instead of filing it for some other name, they had filed it in your name. Friends, all this reconciliation must be done, and it must be done now. One, to take entry in books of accounts. For example, if you have missed out on invoices and the invoice is reflecting in 2A, you can immediately take this credit. Second, if it is not there in your books, if it is not your credit and still you have taken on credit on the basis of GSTR 2A, you need to reverse it. Clear example is that you must reconcile your 3B, your 2A and your books. So in books, you will have CGST ledger, SGST ledger, IGST ledger. In your 2A, there will be an electronic credit ledger. And in your 3B, there will be a claim which will reflect in electronic credit ledger. And then there will be a 2A where it shows which vendor has filed for your account. So this is very important, friends, that you do that. Third most important thing is banks, for example, banks or credit cards. They tend to, charge GST at the end of the quarter, or at the end of 6 months, or at the end of the year. There is a monthly credit bill which is not reflected into it. Suddenly, in after 6 months, you find there is a lot of credit of the bank. No, this must be reconciled. Whatever bank charges are there in your books of accounts versus whatever they have paid into it. Similarly for credit card entries. So very important that you do this reconciliation. This reconciliation will also help you to avail any missed out credits, one. Second, follow up for invoices which is not there in 2A, so you can follow up with the vendors. Third most important thing, that we know that from October there was a time limit whereby GST can be availed only up to additional 10% of the 2A amount, 2A plus 10%. So how are you doing that reconciliation? Now month has ended, March has ended. How are you doing that reconciliation? How much people have filed? How much people have not filed? Now, whether you have taken additional 10%, but now people are not filed the returns as yet. What do you do with 10%? So all these things is something which you need to take into account now. Even for statutory auditors, this has to be a part of the checklist. You must ask the client to provide you with this reconciliation between 2A and books, between 3B, in the books, what could be there in the 2A, what could be there in the GST returns, so that a reconciliation is done and you know that okay, this is what adjustment has taken place. So that is another important thing that you must take. Similarly, we do a reconciliation of opening balance in terms of what was the opening balance as per the electronic credit ledger, what is the closing balance. As per electronic credit ledger, what is the balance of CGST, IGST, and SGST, and as per my books, what is the balance between CGST, SGST, and IGST. So all these reconciliations are done. Now I will pause here for 5 minutes. If you have questions so far, any questions so far, you can put it in the chat box, and then maybe I can go ahead with my further check. So I will just wait for 2 minutes and just check if you have any questions so far. I'll just take a minute or two, see if there is any question so far. Okay, so one question that I received in my personal chat box, whether 1819 credit can be claimed now if we find out in audit and the person has claimed it in books of accounts. No. So 1819, the time limit for availing credit was September 19. If you find it in the books of accounts that the credit has been taken post September 19, so the return of September 19, then obviously that ITC will not be allowed. Please cover transitional credit in detail if possible. Yes, I will try and take transitional credit to some extent, which is the amendment that is come. So I'll take that. Okay, so we are good so far. Yes, one more question. I think reverse charge I'm just covering. I'll just come to it in my next thing. I'll just come to it. Another question is, what needs to be done where sales has been executed in March but e-way bill generated after lockdown? Okay, so e-way bill also I'm covering in my checklist. So I'll come to that in a moment. Give me some time. Okay, so far so we are good. So I'll move on to my another part of checklist. Guys, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. If you have any queries, you can raise your hand. Maybe then I can take in queries or write it in the chat box. Okay. So another checklist, another part of checklist is that you should make sure that you make all payment under reverse charge mechanism. So we must prepare a list of goods and services which are received by us during the year that are liable to reverse charge mechanism. Calculate and pay tax on the same so that we can avail credit. Very important. I'll give you two examples which is very important. One, what we have found now while doing our audit and checks and balances, lot of people are not paying reverse charge on car hire charges. Car hire charges, lot of people are not paying reverse charge. Just a minute. Lot of people are not paying GST credit on car hire charges. Friends, you need to pay that. If you don't pay now, and the statutory auditor, I think one of the host is unmuted. Please request everyone to please mute yourself. The most important thing here is, friends, that one, we as auditors need to point out a note that reverse charge has not been paid on, let's say, car hire charges, which is supposed to be paid. Second, if you do not pay it now, there is an interest at the rate of 18% which needs to be paid when department comes and audits your account. Another case is, for example, for real estate. Real estate, we all know that people who have opted for the new registration are supposed to purchase materials to the tune of 80% from registered dealers. If you raw materials or services from in excess of 20%, then you need to pay GST on reverse charge basis at 18%. Now, what could be the mistake here? Mistake here, the important point is, for example, the item is cement. If you have purchased cement from unregistered dealer, then you have to mandatorily pay reverse charge at the rate of 28% and not 18%. This is one mistake we have found in a number of real estate companies where they are discharging GST at the rate of 18% and not 28%. So that is very important. Similarly, imports. For example, there are a lot of MNCs whose head offices are outside India and their branch offices or their Ps are in India. You know, you are receiving services from head office. Your marketing function, your finance function is sitting in outside India. There is an import of service. So very important here that even in these cases, you check, find out if reverse charge is payable and pay on that so that you can take credit within time. Once this September goes, then the credit is gone. If you do not take, then there is a mismatch between books and the GST return. So I would request all the auditors also to take note of these transactions and find out if there is a transaction in the books like this, or if there is an arrangement like this between the branch and MNC. For example, we found out that branch did not have a single expense entry in respect of MNC. But because it was a branch of a foreign company, we had taken out the agreement, we researched the agreement, and we found that there is an import of service for which GST is payable. The branch will get credit, so the matter ends there in terms of revenue neutrality. But still, you have to pay. So note this point, please. So this is one. Okay, I think on reverse charge, I have a query. Imported of the shelf software is IGST or reverse charge payable? Of the shelf software, import reverse charge is payable and IGST is payable. So that is payable. Now, off the shelf software, import of software would be goods or services depending upon how software is imported. So please work accordingly. But yes, reverse charge under imports is payable and IGST is payable. Most important, friends, even for reverse charge, please note that self-invoice and payment voucher, both are supposed to be issued. Even for reverse charge, merely you have paid reverse charge GST, you have not raised self-invoice, you have not issued payment voucher, your ITC could be litigated. So even if you have discharged reverse charge, don't miss out to issue payment vouchers and raise a self-invoice, self-tax invoice to claim ITC. Please do that. Very important. Next is my reconciliation with supplies with e-way bills issue. Now we know that above a certain threshold, e-way bill is mandatory for all transactions involving movement of goods. There are few exceptions. For example, You need not issue e-way bill for GST exempted goods. You may not issue e-way bill for supplies to non-motorized vehicles. But e-way bill is mandatory for transactions like import, export, job work, uh, sale on approval. So e-way bill is required to be issued. Now we as auditors, GST audit or stat auditor, needs to get a reconciliation done between the books turnover and the e-way bill turnover. Very important. This will give you an idea that whether e-way bill was issued, but the transaction was not recorded in the books, or uh, uh, the e-way bill was not issued and the books was transaction was recorded in the books. So you will know the both aspects of it, and you will also know that there are certain transactions which may not form part of turnover. For example, transfer to job worker or goods on sale or approval basis, but for which way bill has to be issued. Not issuing e-way bill has two things. One, if you are caught on the road, then you could be charged penalty equivalent to tax amount. Second, if you're not caught on the road and you have not issued way bills, still, there is a penalty for non-compliance of GST provisions to the extent of 10,000 rupees. So we have to be very clear that we point out what is the reconciliation between way bill and issued and non-issued. What happens if it is find out that way bill should have been issued but not issued? Then you should yourself write to the department that these are the transactions for which way bill have not been issued, but this transaction was done as per law and tax was paid. So this another checklist is important. Now, there was a question on e-way bill. What needs to be done where sale has been executed in March, but e-way bill generated after lockdown. So since there is a specific allowance that for all way bills which were issued in March but could not be completed because of transporter or etc., will be extended. So there was a provision for extension of way bill. But if you have not generated the way bill at all, this is non-compliance. Now, in this period, maybe you were not supposed to, you could not have access to computer or this thing. So in this case, I think we have lenient view. We will issue a way bill between today and 30th June, before 30th June, and inform the department accordingly. So we can fight for this period, not pay any tax penalty. But what is important is now you generate the way bill and you inform the department. That is most important thing which needs to be done as far as way bill is concerned. As auditor, do we have to ask client to follow 10% cap on 2A? See, there are two options. One, lot of clients have done that, they will not take credit in excess of 2A. Then there is no foundation that they have to take 10% extra. The foundation is that they cannot take credit beyond the ceiling of 10%. So, for example, my books has 100 rupees and my 2A has 70 rupees, then I can take credit to the extent of 77 rupees only. I cannot take credit to the extent of 100 rupees. If a client has done that, then you need to ask them to reverse along with interest. If they do not do it, then you have to make a point in your audit report that this is something which we have not followed. So if your client disagrees with the 10% cap on the higher side, which means they have taken over and above 10%, you need to write a qualification in the report. If they have limited themselves only to 2A, which means they have taken lesser credit, then there is no problem. So can that sale be included in March for which way bill has been generated after lockdown? Absolutely. If you have issued the invoice, goods have gone, but for some reason your way bill could not be issued, etc., we can take that in the March accounting period, because the most important accounting aspect is risk and reward of ownership has to be transferred. If that is transferred, yes, it is a sale. And in accounts, I will obviously record in the March books of accounts. Moving forward, we need to, again, another reconciliation I would propose is we need to reconcile the vendor invoices, the vendor ledgers, our ITC, and the credit ledger. Why this needs to be done? That is very important. But the audit that we have done, what we have found is, one, vendor invoice was for 1819, recorded in 1920. Vendor invoice was for 1920, but in in 2A, it is reflecting in the 1819. These are the instances we found. Then there are issues where there is a dispute between the vendor and the company on the rate, on the quantity, on the quality. Therefore, an invoice has been issued, but there is a dispute. So the vendor has recorded the invoice, we see in 2A, but the party has not recorded the invoice because there is a dispute. All these cases needs to be taken up now, my friends. Invoice dated April 2019 under dispute. Don't let it go beyond 31st March or at least beyond 30th September. What you should do is, if the dispute continues, talk to the vendor, raise a debit note that this invoice is not payable. If we settle the dispute, I will take a fresh invoice from you. If not, settle the dispute at whatever amount. Don't take it beyond 30th September. Because one, the auditor will qualify the report. Second, that there is a dispute for which credit has not been availed and payment has not been done. Second, you go beyond September and then you settle, and then you pay the vendor. Your credit might be in dispute because the time period of availing credit has gone. So very important that we reconcile the invoices. Another thing we have found is there are so many defective invoices. On checking of invoices of the parties, we have found that there are so many cases of defective invoices, which means invoice is not as per the GST provisions. No tax invoice is written, no place of supply is given, simply amount, particulars, GST has been charged, GST registration has been given. This could be in for a litigation. So now is the time that you get the invoices corrected. All faulty invoices needs to be corrected. Similarly, if you match the reconciliation of ledger with your ledger and you match on invoice number wise, all your payments should be FIFO basis adjusted, number one. Number two, your invoice number, what he has mentioned in the return and what you have mentioned in the return should match. For example, we found that a lot of invoices has a different number in GSTR1, and what we have received from physical copy is a different number. So that's something all defective invoices needs to be corrected. So that is something which you needs to do. Similarly, for all interstate supply, IGST needs to be charged. All intrastate supply, CGST and SGST has to be charged. Value of supply and place of supply has to be stated accordingly. So one reconciliation must be done on this account. How you can do this reconciliation is very simple. What we have done is we created a vendor master and a product master in such a manner that all the records are available with us. Now from Tally or from ERP or from SAP, anywhere, we just download the entire ITC ledger, which contains details of invoice number, party name, date, address, contact number, GST registration, etc., etc. And we match it with our ITC ledger. So the whole ledger of party and our ITC ledger is matched, and if any differences, that is pointed out. Trust you me, friends. Trust you me. You do this exercise as a part of your GST or stat audit. It is a huge value addition for the client. One, lot of wrong entries gets corrected. Number two, lot of credit which could be in dispute gets corrected now. So I'm imploring upon you to please do this very, very, very diligently, because we found a lot of merit in doing that. There was challenge in HSN. There was challenge in description of goods. There was challenge in the valuation of goods. So very important. For example, what we found was goods were supplied along with freight. GST was charged on freight at the rate of 5% and on goods at 18%. Whereas it was a composite supply, it should have been charged 18% on the entire amount. Second, what we found was GST has been charged on goods. No GST has been charged on freight because they say it is payable on reverse charge basis. So there are so many innumerable cases that we found by one simple reconciliation that we corrected a lot of things and we could have avoided a lot of litigations there and then itself. So that is a lot of value addition here. So I have some questions. Let me take those questions. How a fresh invoice can be raised without e-waybill? Deepak ji, you have to explain this query a little more. What do you mean by fresh invoice? Has the goods gone? Goods have not been gone, etc., etc. So you need to explain this query a little bit. Another one is, in e-waybill, if the receiving party has rejected the email by mistake, what should be done? Should it be regenerated? Yes, it has to be regenerated. There is a timeline by which you can regenerate the e-waybill what you need to do is you need to get a note in writing by the party that they have rejected the e-waybill by mistake. Therefore, reissuance of waybill has to be done. So, very, very important. Please take this note. This is a very good example pointed out that party is rejected by mistake, but the goods have gone. He has received the goods. So you must generate another waybill and keep a record of the fact that the earlier e-waybill was rejected by mistake from the party itself. So. Fresh invoice can be raised without e-waybill. Yes, sir, it needs to be regenerated. No. So I will take an example like this. For example, you have raised an invoice that is defective, it is cancelled.
Rohitji,
But you have,
Rohitji, can I bit elaborate if you allow? Can I elaborate my question if you allow?
Yeah, Deepak, please.
Can I clarify my question if you allow?
Yes, please do it.
Rohitji, like when you were explaining that it is not matching with the two-way, the input which a person has taken, registered person, is missing two-way, and in that scenario, whereby there is an extra credit shown in two-way, explaining like you said, you can debit the party or ask him to raise a fresh invoice if the year and those are not matching. If there is a mismatch in the year, like 1819 bill has been shown in 1920 or 1920 has been shown in 1819, vice versa.
No.
So basically my question was in that context, if we settle with the party to raise the fresh invoice with the current date, then there will no possibility of raising e-waybill with the fresh invoice.
Yes, so no, I will explain what I was trying to say. Please mute yourself.
Yeah, sure.
So what I was saying is, for example, there is a dispute in invoice. Now, dispute is that if you have purchased goods in April 19, you have received the goods. Now, March has come and there is a dispute between rate that you have agreed to pay rate at the rate of 100 rupees and he is saying that no, my rate is 120. Now, if you have already consumed the goods, if you've already used the goods, there is no question of goods being sent back. So there is no question of fresh invoice in this case. Here the question is of debit note, credit note to the extent of difference. What I'm saying is, talk to the party and tell him that, see, there's a difference of only 25 rupees. I am raising this debit note for 25 so that we can have year-end adjustment in our books of accounts. And if we agree, then you can further raise a debit note on me for 25 rupees and we will settle it. So here there is no issue of fresh invoice. For example, I give you another example where a fresh invoice or a waybill could be required. Now, goods have come. Now, you wanted a goods of particular quality. He has sent goods of another quality. Now, you are not accepting that goods. The goods are lying with you and you are asking the party, please take back the goods because this is not as per my specification. This is not as per my specification, you take. And maybe a month or two has gone, neither he is taking the goods back and neither you are using the goods back. It is lying in your godown. In that case, I am telling you, either you return the goods with a debit note, credit note, tell the party that send me the fresh goods with a fresh invoice. In that case, a fresh e-waybill has to be raised. Or if you accept that goods, then finalize it that yes, it is, then you take record in your books of accounts. So these are the circumstances where either you have a debit credit note or you return the goods and get fresh goods with fresh invoice. That is the case. Now, you said that, there are certain cases where goods have been received in 1819, but we are booking in 1920, or goods have been received in 1819. We have recorded in 1819, but the party is recording in 1920. Here also, there is no case for fresh invoice. Here that there is a timing difference. Important thing here is reconciliation. The reconciliation should clearly show recorded in books of accounts in 1819, but credit taken in 1920, or vice versa. That is allowed. So here also there is no case of fresh invoice. I hope I have answered your query.
Yeah, fine.
I will okay. I will again go to the next question. It says that so when is GST payable on reverse charge basis in case of real estate, monthly or yearly? So it is yearly. So in yearly you calculate whether 80% of the total inputs or input services are from registered party or not. And if it is not there, then the difference you have to pay by September. By return of September, you should pay the difference. So it is yearly. Okay, I will move ahead. The second most important thing is issuance of debit note, credit note. Debit note, credit note is there in section 34 of CGST Act 2017. This is the most important. One, debit note, credit note is raised for so many reasons. The most prominent being sales return, discount, rate difference, any unknown adjustments, all debit note, credit note. Here I want to discuss on one aspect. There are so many aspects, but I want to join on one aspect, which is discounts. Now, discount, a credit note is allowed. A credit note is allowed to be subject to GST adjustment only in two cases. One, that discount has been announced before the sale. So discount has to be announced. For example, if you lift 10,000 tons from me, I'm going to give you a 1% discount. Or your normal credit period is 90 days. If you pay me in 45 days, I'll give you a GST discount. If these conditions are not followed, and still if you issue a discount, then it is not subject to GST adjustment. Now, what I mean by that? For example, I have sold 100 tons to you. You have become eligible for trade discount, but it was not announced earlier. What I will do, I will issue a credit note. I will not adjust GST, which means original GST charged will remain as such. I will not adjust GST. Similarly, if discount was announced right at the beginning, but you have issued a credit note without any reference to the original invoices, you will not get that credit. So even if you issue a credit note and you don't have invoice reference, you will not get that credit. That is very important. So these two conditions have to be mandatorily fulfilled in respect of debit notes and credit notes. This is very important. Now there is a timeline. For example, all credit notes for 1920 has to be adjusted by this September or filing of annual return, whichever is earlier. Beyond that, if you issue credit note, no GST adjustments will be allowed. Very important. So this September ka date is a boundary date. So all things has to be done now. And now, why I'm saying do now? Because don't wait till September. One, because you can correct your books of accounts. Two, you save a lot of GST adjustments, GST ka interest. So this is why it is very important. So all debit notes, credit notes has to be important. So now what we do as an auditor, one, we take out all the list of debit note, credit notes. We check whether it has been issued as per law or not. If it is okay, fine. If it is not, we point out. Second, if there are any disputed transactions, we point out or we ask the client to kindly issue debit note, credit note if possible and close the books now. So that is very important. So two things. One, discount not announced, party has charged. I've been, no GST adjustments allowed. If the party has done it, we as auditors will point out. Discount has been announced, credit note has been issued, GST has been adjusted, but no reference has been given to invoice. We will ask the party to either revise the credit note and correct it so that GST adjustment can be done or not take GST adjustment at all. Third most important thing, there is no timeline to issue a debit note, which means government को जब पैसा लेना है, debit note के through, there is no timeline. For example, 1920, there is a rate difference on the upper side. I can still raise that debit note, collect tax even after the month of September ka return. So there is no timeline for debit note, but there is a timeline for credit note. So this is something which is most important. Please take note. I have certain more questions, but I'll take it at the end of my slide. I have certain few more points to discuss. Goods lying at job workers' premises. Again, very important. Now, I'll here point out two things. Input sent to job worker, the timeline to receive the goods back is 1 year. Capital goods sent to job worker, the timeline to receive goods back is 3 years. Now, we started GST in July 2017. Till this year, April 19, if you have sent certain goods to job worker which has not been received back, what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to reverse credit. That is stated in the law. You have to reverse credit. Now suppose let us take an example. 1 year has passed. You receive goods after 14 months. Are you eligible to reclaim the credit? There is no provision in law which says that after you have received after 14 months, which is after 1 year, you can take credit. So that credit will go away. One, or will be litigated. Two, if goods are not received within 1 year, you have to reverse along with payment of interest at the rate of 18%. So what you need to do is you need to find out as on 31st March, what are the goods which are about to complete 1 year at job worker. We have to get that goods back. So there are two things. You get the goods back, or you can apply to commissioner to extend the timeline of receiving the goods back. The commissioner has the power to extend the timeline of getting the goods back from job worker. Very important. Two, if you have sent goods from job worker 1 to job worker 2, the timeline of 1 year starts from the day job worker 2 receives the goods, not from the day job worker 1 has received the goods. So that is very important. Third, I'll give you a practical example. What is happening? For example, let's take jewelry. Jewelry items are largely manufactured by job workers. So the gold is sent, the item is received. Again, the gold is sent, the item is received. How do they value? They value gold by kgs. इतना ग्राम गया, इतना ग्राम आया. इतना कैरेट गया, इतना कैरेट आया. Now there is always a difference between how many carats you have sent, how many carats have come back, how many kgs of you have sent, how many kgs have come back, how many grams you have sent, how many grams you have come back. Then at the year end, if you see the job worker registered, you see that, for example, 100 tons of gold has gone, 90 tons have been received, 80 tons have been received, let's say 70 tons have been received. Then we as auditors have to find out what has happened to that 20 tons. What has happened to that difference? One, whether it is lying at the job worker's premises. Number two, whether these goods are process loss. You know, जब वो ज्वेलरी को घसते हैं, कढ़ाई करते हैं, तो कुछ गोल्ड चूरा बन जाता है, डस्ट बन जाता है. वो डस्ट या तो उड़ जाता है या फ्लोर पे लाई करता है. Even that dust has to come back. It cannot go. So certain process loss प्लस माइनस अलाउ होगा. लेट्स से ज्वेलरी इंडस्ट्री में नॉर्म है 5% का प्लस माइनस लॉस, तो 5% का प्लस माइनस लॉस अलाउ होगा. या जॉब वर्कर से बात किया हुआ है कि जो भी डिफरेंस है वो तुम हमको अलग से देगा गोल्ड, तो 100 डस्ट तो दे नहीं सकते, तो तुम हमको अलग से देगा गोल्ड. सो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द इंडस्ट्री, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द नेचर. इफ इट्स अ प्रोसेस लॉस, फाइन, वी कैन एक्सेप्ट. If there is an item or quantity which is beyond process loss, then there is a GST reversal. Second, if job worker has agreed to give the balance, then he better give it within that span of 1 year. If he does not give that within a span of 1 year, make sure that you write to commissioner and extend the time. If you don't do all that, there are two possibilities. One, एक तो हमारा क्रेडिट चला जाएगा, रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा. सेकेंड, हमको इंटरेस्ट एट 18% देना पड़ेगा. सो देयर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट आप ये करो, जॉब वर्कर वाला ट्रांजेक्शन करो. सिमिलरली, मूविंग वेरी फास्ट, रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजेक्शंस. देखिए, रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजेक्शंस आपको कुछ एग्जांपल्स है. जैसे मैंने एक एग्जांपल दिया, one single brand shared by 9 different companies, one single brand. फॉर एग्जांपल, जैसे कि बर्जर पेंट्स के लिए भी यूज होता है, बर्जर पैकेजिंग के लिए भी. डिफरेंट कंपनीज, सेम ब्रांड यूज्ड. स्किपर ट्रांसफार्मर के भी लिए यूज होता है और पाइप्स के लिए भी यूज होता है. डिफरेंट कंपनीज, सेम ब्रांड, ब्रांड शेयरिंग. दोनों सेम ही पार्टी का कंपनी है, रिलेटेड पार्टी है, ब्रांड शेयर. अदर एग्जांपल्स कुछ भी, शेयरिंग ऑफ कॉमन स्पेस. ए पार्टी का ऑफिस है, बी पार्टी भी यूज कर रहा है विदाउट एनी रेंट. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय ट्रांजेक्शन, मतलब ये एम्प्लॉय इस कंपनी के लिए भी काम कर रहा है, उस कंपनी के लिए भी काम कर रहा है. एम्प्लॉयड एक जगह है पर काम कर रहा है. डायरेक्टर का केस में बहुत कॉमन. सेकेंड, कॉमन एचआर मार्केटिंग फंक्शन है. ये एचआर इसको भी सर्व कर रहा है, उस कंपनी को भी सर्व कर रहा है. So all these transactions, even even transfer of goods between one person to another, वो transactions भी है. Important चीज क्या है? What is important, my friends? Valuation rule says that if सामने वाला पार्टी को क्रेडिट मिलता है तो इनवॉइस में जो वैल्यू है उसको हम डीम मार्केट वैल्यू पकड़ लें. Other person does not get credit, then the valuation becomes important. Second, even if the person gets credit and there's a related party transaction, you don't charge any GST, then also it becomes very important. Why it becomes important? Because the department will come to audit you, or the statutory auditor will audit you, or the GST auditor will audit you and tell that this transaction is subject to GST. There is no consideration, but it is a transaction between related party as per Schedule 1. It is deemed supply, therefore you have to charge GST. In that case, the valuation will be left over to the departmental auditors, the statutory auditors, the GST auditors. And if September goes away, the other person, your other counterpart, will not get the credit. So identify all related party transactions. There may not be recording in books. For example, common space share किया, rent charge नहीं किया, वो entry नहीं होगा books में. Nevertheless, transaction है. So it is very important that you find out these kind of transactions, pay proper GST, take credit, revenue neutral, but do the compliance. Very important, you do the compliance. Similarly, brand sharing. Brand sharing में please enter into agreement with all the companies related party. Find out ways how this brand sharing will be valued. Raise an invoice. Close the chapter. Please do that. So that is another thing. Another checklist. I will take the questions. I'm receiving the questions. I'll take the questions once this is over. Reconciliation of TDS and TCS credit. आप ई-कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर के थ्रू कोई काम करते हैं, वो आपका टीडीएस काटेगा. आप गवर्नमेंट टेंडर के साथ काम करते हैं, गवर्नमेंट आपका टीसीएस काटेगा. Most important thing is that you reconcile whatever TDS they are supposed to deduct, whether they are deducted and deposited, because you will take credit. If they have not deducted, then you tell them that you should deduct TDS and TCS. Still, if they do not deduct, then at least you take note, because deduction of TDS, TCS is their responsibility. But at least ये होना चाहिए कि जो TDS उन्होंने deduct किया है, हमने credit लिया है. कहीं उन्होंने ज्यादा TDS deduct करके जमा नहीं कर दिया जो आपका बुक्स में रिफ्लेक्ट ही नहीं कर रहा हो. So all these things क्या है? I'm finding this. Amazon के थ्रू सेल करते हैं. Amazon ने TDS डिडक्ट करके जमा किया, आपका रिटर्न में दिख रहा है, बट वो पेमेंट, वो इनवॉइस आपके पास आया नहीं, वो आपके पास आया नहीं, आपके बुक्स में रिकॉर्डेड नहीं. So very important that you do this reconciliation so that one, you do not lose the TDS TCS credit. Second, your turnover in the books is reflected correctly. So that is something which you have to do. Now, let us quickly take some miscellaneous issues. For example, there are a number of specified returns for compliance of ISD provisions, job work provisions, TDS TCS provisions, which needs to be filed on periodical basis. So that is something which an auditor should check whether they have filed all the returns. Second, goods sent on approval basis. सेल और अप्रूवल बेसिस. आपको पता है सेल और अप्रूवल में अगर 180 days तक गुड्स अप्रूव नहीं होता है, इट इज डीम्ड अप्रूव. सो आप 31 मार्च को ये देखो, if there are goods sent on approval beyond a period of 6 months, then it is deemed approved under GST and you have to pay GST on that. So you better pay GST on that. और अगर अप्रूव हो गया है तो वैसे भी GST पे करना. और अगर नहीं अप्रूव है, you know that it will not be approved, then at least get that goods back. Very important, get that goods back, because अगर वो goods रह गया काउंटर पार्ट के पास, then it is deemed approved and you have to pay GST on that. So sale on goods of approval, very important. You need to make a conspectus of all refund applications filed, refunds rejected, refunds received, and that should match with your books of accounts. That is very important, because क्या होता है जब भी आप एक refund apply करते हैं, that part of GST is taken out of your electronic credit ledger. It is no longer available in your electronic credit ledger, but it might be there in your ITC ledger in books. So in order to reconcile that, refund application also needs to be reconciled. Similarly, what happens? You have filed a refund application. You have expunged the credit in your books, but refund has been rejected by the department. So then again in your books you have to take that credit again. We also see that refund has been rejected. It has been recredited in the electronic credit ledger, but it is not there in the books. So that reconciliation needs to be done. Your LUT needs to be renewed by 30th June. अभी जो extended timeline है उसको मत भूलिएगा, क्योंकि आप without payment of duty अगर export कर रहे हैं तो आपको LUT चाहिए ही चाहिए. Or in case of any change in the books of accounts, like for example place of business change हुआ है, goods or services change हुआ है, तो आप registration accordingly adjust करें. I will just take 1 minute to ask Naveen. Naveen, how much time do I have?
We'll be continuing till 1:30, sir. But I think it will be better if we take last 15 minutes as a question and answer rounds, whereby people can ask all their doubts to you, if you
Okay.
feel proper, sir.
Okay, fair enough. So I will proceed because I just wanted to understand if I have the time to discuss transitional credit also. So fair enough, I'll take out time. So friends, I am moving a little faster on this. So another thing is that even if you've exported goods, but it is to your own branch. So export of services to distinct person is not treated as export. So आपको tax देना पड़ेगा. So वो आप mind पे रखें. Second, disposal of business assets or consideration or without consideration to related person is subject to GST. Now business assets में एकदम short में आपको बताता हूँ. अगर आप individual business assets sale किए हैं, it is subject to GST. But if you have sold business assets as going concern, it is not subject to GST. दोनों में दिक्कत क्या है? ये एक सब्जेक्ट ऐसा है कि एक सिंगल हम 1 hour बिजनेस एसेट्स का डिस्पोजल पे बोल सकते हैं. ये इतना बड़ा सब्जेक्ट है. अरेंजमेंट, मर्जर, अमलगमेशन, स्लम सेल, डीमर्जर, दिस पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट पे हम अकेला 1-2 घंटा बोल सकते हैं. सो इन शॉर्ट आपको बता रहा है कि अगर ऐसा कोई बिजनेस एसेट सेल हुआ है तो प्लीज टेक नोट एंड फाइंड आउट कि भी जीएसटी का क्या करना है, हमको आईटीसी का क्या करना है. सो दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच यू नीड टू फाइंड आउट. आवर ऑडिट जितने हम लोग अपने क्लाइंट्स के यहाँ किए हैं, काफी लोग स्क्रैप सेल के ऊपर जीएसटी नहीं दिए. सो स्क्रैप सेल इज सब्जेक्ट टू जीएसटी. प्लीज नोट कि स्क्रैप सेल के ऊपर भी वही रेट लगेगा जो गुड्स के ऊपर लगता है और आप उसके ऊपर जीएसटी दें. सिमिलरली कोई कैपिटल गुड्स कंप्लीटली रिटन ऑफ इन बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स है या डिस्पोज्ड ऑफ है, उसके ऊपर आपको कैलकुलेशन करना है कि भाई 5% पर क्वार्टर और ट्रांजैक्शन वैल्यू व्हिचएवर इज हायर का कैलकुलेशन के हिसाब से हमको टैक्स देना है. तो वो भी देख लें कि अगर कैपिटल गुड्स कंप्लीटली रिटन ऑफ है या डिस्पोज्ड ऑफ है तो उसके ऊपर हम लोग दे दें. Another thing is वेंडर 180 डेज आई ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कि अगर 180 डेज का वेंडर का तो उसका जीएसटी रिवर्सल है. अभी कोविड सिनेरियो में भी इसका कोई हम लोग को रिलीफ नहीं दिया गया है और 180 डेज. सो रिमेंबर इवन इफ कोविड सिनेरियो में भी 180 डेज का पेमेंट अगर आपने नहीं दिया है तो भी जीएसटी रिवर्सल करना है. सिमिलरली एनी कॉम्पनसेशन व्हिच हैज बीन रिसीव्ड इन द फॉर्म ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिलेड पेमेंट्स, कैंसिलेशन चार्जेस एक्सेट्रा, नॉमिनेशन चार्जेस, उसके ऊपर भी हम लोग को जीएसटी देना है. तो ये भी आप प्लीज नोट करें. ऑल पेंडिंग सेल्फ टैक्स इनवॉइस, पेमेंट वाउचर्स, आरसीएम, ये सबके ऊपर हमको देना है. तो इसके ऊपर प्लीज नोट करें. डोंट फॉरगेट ऑल दिस. सो व्हाट आई हैव डन इज दैट आई हैव प्रिपेयर्ड अ चेकलिस्ट. आई एम श्योर Views Exchange will circulate this checklist to all the participants so that you have a checklist ready with you. Now what I will do is there are 2 options. Naveen,
So we have already shared the checklist. I think all the members who are signed in right now must have received it, and I'll share it again once before we end this seminar.
One minute, just give me a minute.
If any participants can confirm if they have received the checklist in their chat box.
Okay. Now they have received. So you can go through that checklist. If you have any further queries, you can raise it. So it will be a handy 10-pager document which you can use while you're conducting audits, etc. So that is something would be helpful. Now, what do? We complete the quest. Naveen, we complete the question answers first, or we go to transitional credit and then we go to queries.
I think the transitional credit will be if you can complete that first, because once we enter into question answer rounds, then the questions I don't think will be in a sequential manner. It will take us to somewhere else.
Okay.
So I would suggest you complete the transitional credit.
Okay. So I will take transitional credit first. Now, transitional credit start करते हैं. One section 140 transitional credit था, which allowed you to take certain credits from pre-GST regime to post-GST regime. और credits क्या थे? Number one वो credit थे जो आपके excise return, service tax return, VAT return में already थे. So there was a balance in last balance as on 30th June in your excise return, service tax return, VAT return, which you can carry forward. That was one kind of transactional credit. The other kind of transitional credit was, for example, if goods are lying with you as an agent, जिसके ऊपर आप क्रेडिट नहीं लेते थे, आप एजेंट की तरह सेल करते थे, वो एक गुड्स पड़ा हुआ है, या आपके पास स्टॉक ऐसा पड़ा हुआ है, you are only a trader, you are not registered under excise, but you have excise invoice, or if you don't have invoice, you can calculate the excise portion and take credit, provided you pass it on to the consumer. So ऐसे करके ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट हमको एलिजिबल था. एंड हिदर टू प्रोविजन ये था कि भाई हम ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट ट्रांस वन फॉर्म फाइल करेंगे, ये ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट लेंगे एंड वी कैन यूज इट इन द जीएसटी रेजिम. हिस्टोरिकली क्या हुआ, ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट का डेट बढ़ता गया. पहले एक्स डेट था, फिर वाई डेट हुआ, फिर जेड हुआ, फिर एबीसी, ऐसे डेट बढ़ते बढ़ते 31 दिसंबर 2018 का एक फाइनल डेट किया कि आप इसके अंदर ले. उसके बाद काफी सारे केसेस हुए. एवरीबडी लेफ्ट राइट एंड सेंटर हाई कोर्ट में एप्लीकेशन फाइल किए कि भाई हम ट्रांसफर फाइल नहीं कर सके बिकॉज सर्वर नहीं चल रहा था, बिकॉज टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस था, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. ऑलमोस्ट ऑल हाई कोर्ट ऑर्डर्स दे सेड कि बॉस, you have to either reopen the portal or you have to allow manual filing of transfer forms so that credit can be taken. So गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया, गवर्नमेंट ने एक आईटी रिड्रेसल कमिटी फॉर्म किया, ट्रांस वन का टाइम को एक्सटेंड किया फ्रॉम 2018 टू 2019, मार्च 2019, फ्रॉम मार्च 2019 टू 31 मार्च 20, टाइमलाइन एक्सटेंड किया. किस केसेस में किया? उसी केसेस में किया जहां पे डिजिटल एविडेंस था कि यू ट्राइड बट बिकॉज ऑफ पोर्टल यू कुड नॉट फाइल ट्रांसफर फॉर्म. नाउ यू कैन फाइल. बट ये कुछ देयर इज सर्टेन क्लास को रिलीफ मिला कि चलो ट्रांजिशनल क्रेडिट वो रीफाइल कर सकते हैं, वेयर टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस का वजह से दे कुड नॉट फाइल. But there were so many other cases like attempted filing online but did not take digital evidence. 2, they were not tech savvy, जानते ही नहीं थे कैसे फाइल करें, ना कंसल्टेंट को हायर किया. 3rd, because there were so many dates of trans 1 extension, they forgot the date or there was lack of awareness about the date, छूट गया. कंप्यूटर सिस्टम ही नहीं था भाई, हम लोग तो खाता बही में काम करते थे, कंप्यूटर सिस्टम ही नहीं था, और अदर रीजन उन्होंने ट्रांसफर फाइल नहीं किया. ये एक केस था. दूसरा केस क्या था, ट्रांसफर फाइल किया बट कुछ क्रेडिट्स छूट गए. एग्जांपल, 30th जून को हमने कुछ गुड्स इंपोर्ट किया, उसका जो उस समय सीवीडी और सैड लगा था, उसका क्रेडिट हम ट्रांसफर में लेना भूल गए. लॉ का इग्नोरेंस का वजह से हम 3B में लेंगे. जो हमको ट्रांसफर के थ्रू लेना था वो हम 3B में ले लिए। 3B में लिए, डिपार्टमेंट ऑब्जेक्टेड, हमने 3B से उसको एक्सपंज कर दिया, बट ट्रांसफर अब हम फाइल नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस नहीं था। गवर्नमेंट खाली टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस के लिए पोर्टल खोला, हम फाइल नहीं कर सकते। ऐसा भी केस आया कि लोग छूट गया। लेफ्ट, राइट एंड सेंटर रैंडम केसेस हुआ। देयर वर रैंडम केसेस। गिव मी अ मिनट प्लीज। लेफ्ट, राइट एंड सेंटर रैंडम केसेस हुआ। आपको मैं चार पांच जजमेंट्स अगर आप नोट कर सकें तो बेटर है। ब्रांड इक्विटी ट्रीटीज वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, एडफर्ट टेक्नोलॉजीज वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, सिद्धार्थ एंटरप्राइजेस वर्सेस द नोडल ऑफिसर, डेवलपर्स, तारा एक्सपोर्ट्स, इंदिरा केमिकल्स। ये सब जजमेंट आप नोट, ये सब मतलब मार्की जजमेंट्स। इन जजमेंट्स में क्या होल्ड किया गया? व्हाट वाज द डिसीजंस ऑफ दिस जजमेंट? 1, Section 140 of GST Act, which provides transitional credit, does not provide the timeline for taking credit. Rule 117 and Rule 120A cannot impose a timeline when it is not mentioned in the legislation. So rule cannot superimpose a timeline when no timeline has been mentioned in legislation. That was one. If there is no timeline in section 140, which means government does not have the intention to deny credit of SSCs. It is deemed assumed that there is no denial of credit. Second, the right to carry, the vested right to carry forward credit is a right or privilege acquired and accrued under the repealed act, excise, service tax, VAT. It cannot be taken away by the government through rules. It cannot be. That was held. The pre-GST ITC, which is accrued and vested, is the property of the SSC, is a constitutional right under Article 300A, and it cannot be taken by way of merely delegate legislation, which is called rules. It cannot be taken. By not filing trans 1, it is merely a procedural non-compliance which cannot take away the substantive right of the SSC. Cannot be taken. So that was one which was held under various judgments. That I'm summarizing the rulings which was laid down in various judgments. The liability to pay GST on sale of stock carried forward under GST regime without allowing the corresponding input tax credit will lead to double taxation and therefore is arbitrary and irrational. लॉ ने बोला है, मतलब जो कोर्ट के जजमेंट्स. One judgment also said that the GST was in the phase of trial and error. There was different yardsticks for evaluation of the SSEs. How can you take away in this trial and error phase substantive right of the SSE? There were many steps. There were many steps involved in filing of trans 1. Therefore, there was SSE was prone to error or error hua hai. How can you take away the right of SSE? Now, ये सारा judgments क्या किया? It gave unbridled right to each and every SSE, whether they have filed trans 1 or not, whether trans 1 was filed because of technical glitches or not, that you can take credit. कितने lakhs application डिपार्टमेंट के पास, गवर्नमेंट के पास गए ट्रांसफर लेने के लिए. अब अगर गवर्नमेंट एट दिस स्टेज ट्रांसफर अलाउ कर दे तो महीना का कलेक्शन तो इतना कम हो जाएगा बिकॉज इतना ट्रांस क्रेडिट आने वाला. इन्होंने क्या किया? इन्होंने नोटिफिकेशन 43/2020 डेटेड 16th May 2020 वाइड सेक्शन 128 ऑफ फाइनेंस एक्ट 2020 सेक्शन 140 को अमेंड किया. अमेंड करके वहां पे 3 वर्ड ऐड किए. वो 3 वर्ड क्या थे? Within such time. This amendment gave government a power to prescribe time for transfer, which hitherto was not there. Which hitherto was not there under section 140, under legislation. जो time था ही नहीं, उसको retrospectively from July 2017, government took the power by the virtue of section 128, amended section 140, and वो power लिया कि भैया वो time limit हम prescribe कर सकते हैं. और वो टाइम लिमिट कहाँ प्रिस्क्राइब किया हुआ है? रूल 117A सबसेक्शन 1 में वो टाइम लिमिट प्रिस्क्राइब किया हुआ है. वो टाइम लिमिट क्या है? वो टाइम लिमिट था फॉर ऑल रेगुलर पार्टीज 31/3/18, फॉर पार्टीज हु कुड नॉट फाइल फॉर टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस एंड दे हैव एविडेंस 31/3/20. तो क्वेश्चन ये है बॉस कि अब इतने सारे जो जजमेंट्स हुए जिन्होंने टाइम अलाउ किया, एक सिंगल अमेंडमेंट, एक सिंगल रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव अमेंडमेंट से क्या वो सारे जजमेंट्स, आर ऑल दोस जजमेंट्स नलिफाइड? Is your substantive right taken away by single stroke of legislative amendment? Can it be done? Is it constitutionally correct? बॉस, ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट का एक जजमेंट है इन द केस ऑफ आयकर मोटर्स वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, व्हिच लेड डाउन अ लॉ. वो लॉ बोलता था वेस्टेड राइट इन प्रॉपर्टी, इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट बाय वे ऑफ vested right and property cannot be taken away by retrospective amendment. ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन. It cannot be taken. 1. 2. हम एक और इंटरप्रिटेशन ले सकते हैं कि हमने ट्रांसफर फाइल किया था, बट ट्रांसफर में मिस्टेक दो हो सकता है, आइदर बाय अवेलमेंट ऑफ रॉन्ग क्रेडिट और बाय omission to avail credit. What you are saying is, I have to file transfer within a certain time. I have filed transfer certain time, but with mistakes. You might take away from retrospective amendment my filing time. How can you take away my right to correct the mistake? Therefore, I will still take credit. Third, how can you allow only those who have digital evidence to take credit and file it within 31/3/20? I do not have computer, or at that particular point of time, I could not gather technical evidence. How can you take away my right? This is a clear discrimination between somebody who has the evidence and somebody who does not have the evidence, but nevertheless could not file because of technical glitches. So, according to me, this retrospective amendment cannot in any way take away or impair your substantive right to take ITC. So अभी सिचुएशन में क्या करना चाहिए? इस सिचुएशन में अपने को सबसे पहले एक मैनुअल ट्रांसफर, बिकॉज ऑनलाइन तो अलाउ करेगा नहीं, मैनुअल ट्रांसफर भर के अपना क्रेडिट लेके आपको डिपार्टमेंट में जमा देना चाहिए. डिपार्टमेंट अगर नहीं ले तो रजिस्टर्ड कोरियर से आपको देना चाहिए, बट ट्रांसफर जमा करना चाहिए. सेकेंड, I know for a fact that lot of people are going to Supreme Court against this amendment, to be challenging it to be unconstitutional. So there are good chances that the Supreme Court order करेगा, will strike down this retrospective amendment, and अपने को एक विंडो मिलेगा ट्रांसफर फाइल करने. बट अपने ट्रांसफर फाइल करके रख दें, मैनुअल ट्रांसफर, ताकि अपना क्लेम, आवर क्लेम इज सेटल्ड बिफोर द गवर्नमेंट कि भाई हमारा मैनुअल ट्रांसफर फाइल किया हुआ है, आप इस क्लेम को दें. सेकंड, मेरा एक और सुझाव है कि अपने 3B में इसका क्रेडिट लें मैनुअल ट्रांसफर फाइल करने के बाद, बट इस क्रेडिट को यूटिलाइज नहीं रखें. वी डू नॉट यूटिलाइज दिस क्रेडिट, सो देयर इज नो इंटरेस्ट प्रोविजन व्हिच कम्स इन. वी डोंट यूटिलाइज दिस क्रेडिट until and unless the Supreme Court decision comes in. We keep this credit. This is my personal suggestion. This is not law ka suggestion. My personal suggestion: 1, if you can go to Supreme Court, great. 2, file manual transfer for sure. Third, take credit through 3B, but don't utilize the credit. Fourth, keep a tab of all Supreme Court decisions which have been filed on this ground. तो ये मेरे हिसाब से करना चाहिए. This is my suggestion. So I have summarized trans 1 in a few minutes. कि भाई क्या था क्या नहीं था, कुछ एक जजमेंट्स बताए. इसमें वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट आप प्रॉपर ड्राफ्टिंग करें मैनुअल ट्रांसफर का, प्रॉपर संघ में नोट दें, प्रॉपर लेटर बनाएं, प्रॉपर फोरम में जमा करें. ऐसा नहीं कि कहीं भी कर दें, प्रॉपर फोरम में जमा करें. तो मेरा ये मानना है कि ट्रांसफर का क्रेडिट वी शुड गेट. कोई भी ऐसा रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव अमेंडमेंट जो हमारा राइट बनता है उसको नहीं ले जा सकता. सो दिस इज माय व्यू, माय पर्सनल व्यू ऑन ट्रांसफर जो इशू चल रहा है. नाउ आई थिंक वी विल टेक अप क्वेश्चंस ऑन बोथ एस्पेक्ट्स. जो क्वेश्चंस था वो हम एक एक करके ले लेते हैं.
Rohit ji, there was one question yesterday night on the email. Should I ask you?
Yes, please.
This query was by Mr. Manas. It is regarding GSTR 9 and 9C. He said that invoices reported in next financial year, not as amendments, were to be reported in GSTR 9 because it is not getting auto-populated. If report is in table 10, 11, 12 and 13, then only it is matching with books turnover. But when data is getting auto-populated in 9C invoices, reported next year are getting added automatically. Hence, turnover of 9C is getting increased by invoices reported in next year. For which, as an auditor, what comment we should give, or there is any other way to do it? Any other way to do it?
No. So if it is automatically getting 9C, you just write in the remark what the client has done. So by way of remark, if the client has done it correctly, you write it under GSTR 9. The client has done this, although the 2A is showing like this, but we have taken credit to the tune of this, and we verify and vouch that. So our remarks will be good enough. So under 9C, wherever you can manually correct manually. Where under table 10 it is auto-populated and you cannot correct it, give a remarks, and that should be a sufficient compliance. Okay, I move on to certain questions which I have received here. Whether GST adjustment needs to be given if account is settled with the debtors. For example, invoice was raised on 1/4/19 for rupees 500. On rupees 34/19, 400 was paid, and on 31/3 both parties mutually settled for the account, and 100 will be given as discount. Now, GST, this discount will be subject to GST reversal. Yes, this discount will be subject to GST reversal. One, because it was not announced at the time of sale. Second, it is a settlement. It is not a discount. That you agreed to pay 400 and then he agreed, okay, I am agreeing to give you that discount later on. So this discount will be not subject to GST reversal. Original, whatever he has charged on 500, he will charge 500. Whatever credit you have taken on 500, you will take credit on that 500. This 100 will not be subject to discount. अब यहाँ पे क्या है, जो उसने 500 पे चार्ज किया है उसको तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है because he has charged on full. Now you have paid 400, you are taking credit on 500, you will be subject to litigation. However, my legal view is that you will get credit of entire 500. So take that credit, and if we require to file litigation, we will fight it in litigation. According to me, you will also get credit for entire 500. This is my legal view. Going forward, if the creditor reduces his liability and claims back the GST, then debtor need to reverse ITC, else the debit note can be drawn. Yes, this is correct. This is correct. ये वही बोलना चाह रहे हैं कि भाई, फॉर एग्जांपल क्रेडिटर ने डिस्काउंट दिया लेकिन उसने अपना लायबिलिटी रिड्यूस नहीं किया. अगर लायबिलिटी रिड्यूस करता है तो डेटर को भी रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा. अगर वो नहीं करता है तो डेटर को भी नहीं रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा. जैसे मैंने अभी बताया कि भाई लिटिगेशन हो सकता है रेसिपिएंट के एंड पे, बिकॉज उसने पूरा 500 पे क्रेडिट लिया है. वो लिटिगेशन, दैट लिटिगेशन इज पॉसिबल, बट वी नीड टू फाइट इट. वी नीड टू फाइट. Financial credit notes issued by supplier but not reversing ITC. It means supplier not reducing liability. Do we need to reverse ITC as a buyer? Again, I said, no, you don't need to reduce your ITC. I think you should fight it out legally. I think you are eligible for credit. So I don't think you need to reverse it, but you will be subject to litigation for sure. Another query is कि अभी ट्रांसफर मैनुअल डिपार्टमेंट नहीं एक्सेप्ट करे तो क्या करें? जैसे मैंने बताया कि you should send it by registered courier. If possible, take a stamp of acknowledgement of receipt. If not, at least registered से तो supply करें. Another is that अगर हमने ट्रांसफर फाइल करना भूल गए, क्या अब हम फाइल कर सकते हैं? देखिए, अगर आप भूल गए टोटली, you will be subject to lot of scrutiny, lot of litigation. But I would still suggest कि आप however, in your case, भूल ही गए, एकदम फाइल ही नहीं की, आज तक फाइल नहीं की, there could be litigation. But my suggestion is to keep and file. That's transfer filed but missed out on credit. Yes, this is exactly my point. कि भाई आपने ट्रांसफर फाइल किया, एक पर्टिकुलर क्रेडिट भूल गए, अब भूल गए, उसका आपका वेस्टेड राइट जाना चाहिए क्या? मेरे हिसाब से नहीं जाना चाहिए. आई थिंक यू शुड फाइल अ मैनुअल ट्रांसफर फॉर्म रिवाइजिंग द एंटायर थिंग. यू मस्ट डू दैट. Supply of goods or services from branches, units, employees to HO would also be treated as supply liable for GST. Example, a CA firm was appointed as central stat auditor for bank. The assignment was completed by all the partners, but billing is raised by HO. And partners are getting some. Whether branch officers are required to raise bill on HO? Yes. आपको देने का दरकार है. This is a classic example of cross charge. You must do it. आपको बिल रेज कराना चाहिए, क्रेडिट ले लेना चाहिए. What needs to be done in cases where registration closed in 2018 but GSTR 10 was not filed, hence since at that point of time the form was not available. तो उसके बाद विंडो आया था, एक लॉजिकल विंडो आया था कि आप GSTR 10 फाइल कर सकते हैं, आपको कर देना चाहिए, आप कर सकते हैं GSTR 10 को फाइल. Trans 1 was missed out to file Trans 2. Trans 1 filed, Trans 2 was not filed. So Trans 2 basically is a summary of whatever credit you've taken on stock, whether you have passed it on to the customer or not. So we applied for cancellation. Cancellation of what? Trans 1 or Trans 2? So Manas Das has to please explain. We applied for cancellation of registration. Acha, okay, registration. Department, no, you should fight this case. One, Trans 1 आपने file किया, you were eligible for credit. You missed out to file Trans 2, no problem. You must demonstrate that you have passed it on to the consumer. Once you do that, even if department issues notices, please fight it out. You have done all right. I think with whatever remitted facts you have said, you have done all right and you should be eligible. Trans 1 allow किया, but फिर भी file नहीं करने दिया. I think again, if you are not allowed to file Trans 1 electronically, please file it through manual transfer. If they don't take it, send it by registered post, RPAD, registered post acknowledgement due. Please do send it. Okay. Yes. So this is all that I have today in terms of queries, in terms of whatever I had to say. Yeah, Naveen. So I don't think I have any further queries.
I would request any. I would request any member
so somebody is raising hand.
Yeah, if any member has any question and want to ask directly, can raise hand so that we can unmute them and he can ask the question directly.
Yeah. So there is one person who is basically Ranjan. So if you can, just allow him to speak, please. Ranjan ji, आप अपने आप को unmute कर सकते हैं.
Ranjan ji, please unmute yourself. I'm not finding you. Your hand raised. Yes, Ranjan Verma, you are unmuted. You can please speak.
Hello.
हाँ, Ranjan ji, बोलिए.
Yeah. So not a query. My hand was tapped by mistake. Let me take the opportunity to ask you to upload the checklist once again, please. I couldn't find it on the chat box.
Naveen, if you can do the needful on that.
Ranjan, it has been uploaded recently. I think if you must have received it.
Yeah, let me just check. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't.
Rohit ji,
Praveen,
actually,
I think we.
I had one question with respect to e-way bill. When you said that if the recipient has by mistake rejected the e-way bill, then it has to be regenerated. I just wanted to add one point then where the movement of goods has completed and the goods has already been received by the recipient. Then also we should regenerate the e-way bill, or should we keep it ungenerated? Because in the system it is still showing as an active e-way bill.
No, but it has been rejected by mistake by the recipient. No.
Yeah. So if we
So in that case,
the original version of e-way bill, that it should be generated only at a time of movement of goods. If the movement of goods is completed, then the e-way bill does not suffice any value to it.
Correct. So there is a timeline by which it can be corrected. But once it is rejected by the response, then it shows that you have not delivered. Then you have to prove by consignment note, take a letter from the recipient that yes, by mistake it was rejected, and submit it to the department. And then the original way stands.
Yeah, I was just looking forward at alternative only, because generating one more e-way bill will create a confusion that two way bills are generated with a single number. E-way bill, bill number.
So that is something. Now what happened in my case, in one of my cases, was the recipient rejected the way bill. So we also cancelled the way bill at our end. So that e-way bill was rejected. We issued a fresh way bill. He accepted that way bill, and we informed about both the way bills to the department so that the record is clear. His acceptance and my issuance is clear. But what you are saying is also an option, that my way bill, earlier way bill stands. He rejected, then subsequently he accepted the goods. We take it in writing from him that he has rejected the way bill by mistake, and we submit it to the department that this is what has happened, which also rectifies the situation.
Okay. And one more question, that since there is the lockdown right now from 22nd of March, whatever this ISD distributions and this GST reversals, whatever to be done, can it be done at the current scenario? Means I just need a clarification that, as you said, that it has to be done on month basis. So the major notification which came out that all the deadlines has been extended, whether that will be followed or still the month-to-month proposition we have to follow for transferring this ISD credit.
The FM statement was that we are extending all deadlines to June. However, when you see the notifications, there are certain sections which was done, there are certain sections which was not done. For example, reversal for 180 days ka payment, that was not extended. That particular section was not extended, so that you have to do now. However, in these cases, what we would suggest is, now since offices are opening up, we request by 30th June, you make all the compliances, don't pay any interest now. In all probability, as we have understood, no interest will be asked for you for during this period, that is from 31st March, 23rd March to 30th June. And you are good to go. But now, because the offices are opening up, make sure that by 30th June, you do all the reversals.
Okay, sir. Anyone else have any questions? I would ask one more, sir, if you permit. Rohit ji?
Yes, please.
Yeah, regarding GST audit, in financial year 17-18, a lot of sections were made not to be mandatory. For example, filing of all the expenses statements, reconciliation of expenses as to with whom we have taken as a registered buyer, with whom we have taken as not registered buyer. Will all those be applying for 18-19 also? So in 18-19, if the reversal of 180 days creditors payment, means the creditors to whom we have not paid, are we still required to reverse it? Because finding out the reversal from the accounts is very tough. So are we still required to reverse it?
Relaxations were given in 17-18 were reporting relaxations. no relaxation was given whereby you were not supposed to reverse ITC, or relaxation such as disclosure. For example, HSN wise ITC disclosure was done away with. Difference between input services or capital goods as ITC credit was done away with. But no relaxation was given whereby you were not supposed to reverse ITC credit. So ITC credit for 180 days removal is still required to be done.
Okay.
I hope I have answered your query.
Yes,
Naveen.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Achha, I have imported self software, but no IGST is paid. Boss, you have to pay IGST now under reverse charge. Please pay it immediately, lest you are subject to 18% tax. Please pay it immediately. Thank you, Naresh ji. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we have sufficient queries. Naveen, I think we can
wrap up the meeting.
Yes, I think we can wrap up. If there are any further queries, maybe it can be sent personally to me, and I'll be happy to answer those.
Okay, that's not a problem. So friends, I would just like to offer a hearty vote of thanks to Rohit Surana ji for spending his time and explaining us all the important points with respect to what we need to do while closing our books of accounts. He deliberated on the cross charge, which we need to take care of, the input service distribution part, the GST reversibles, which has to be done on if you have sold any capital goods, if any scrap scale is there, you have to charge GST on the same. The important point, GST reconciliation with respect to GST 3B, GST 2, the opening balances reconciliation with the books of accounts. He also spoke about e-way bill. And for sharing the checklist, I thank you, sir. I think it will be helpful for all the members. And the transitional credit, as he said, I would just reiterate once again that try to send whoever has not taken the credit of transitional credit to file a manual form and send it by speed post, so that a face taking something can be taken care of from the departmental side, that at least SSC has filed something. I thank you, sir, for enlightening all our members on the subject. And thanks a lot for spending time, sir, on behalf of Views Exchange and all the members. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Naveen, thank you so much. Views, love to interact with you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Naveen. Thank you for being a wonderful host. Thank you, Sarojji. Thank you, Jawarji.
Thank you, Rohitji. Thank you, everybody.
I'm sharing this note once again as requested by few members. Whoever has completed, they can leave the meeting.
I'll take your leave, Naveen.
Yes, sir, you can leave, sir. A few members has requested for the GST note once again. I am sharing it once again. I'll wait there for 2-3 minutes and I will end this meeting. You can leave, sir.
Naveen, if you can. Okay, thank you.
नवीन जी, मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ हाँ.
ये कैसे? अच्छा, ये जो अभी आपने शेयर किया है वो डाउनलोड करें क्या?
जी सर. चैट बॉक्स में एक फाइल शेयर किया गया है. आप सभी वो चैट बॉक्स की जीएसटी नोट ऑन ईयर एंड स्टेप्स बोल करके है पीडीएफ फाइल.
ओके.
उसको आप डाउनलोड कर लीजिए.
ओके, थैंक यू.
I think everybody has able to download it. We'll find it. Please scroll upside. We'll find it again. Please scroll up your chat box. You will find it again. So thank you, members. I'll be ending this session. Thanks for your participation.